Should we still be considering the RX 7800 XT now that we have the RX 7700 XT at as little as $400 and we have the 7900 GRE that's not much more expensive and sometimes even goes on sale for the same price as the 7800 XT? Well, if you're like me, the only reason I even look at videos like this is to see if the FPS numbers are going to hold up to what I currently have and it's going to be worth it to even upgrade or not. So I'm going to leave that decision up to you, and I'm just going to show you the benchmarking numbers. Your CPU could change, your FPS numbers depending on what games that you're playing, so keep that in mind through this video. We use the i5-12600K. It's a middle-of-the-road processor, and it's something that, some of you might have that you might be looking for an upgrade, or you might have something that's pretty similar in performance. We use 32 gigs of DDR5 running at 5600 megahertz. We did test all these games in 1440p, just so you know. First up, we tried Call of Duty Warzone, the Resurgence game mode. Now, Call of Duty does run better on AMD GPUs, so we expected some good things from this graphics card, and it certainly didn't disappoint. At ultra settings, no upscaling, we got a whopping 160 to 165 FPS average. Super smooth, super fun. But you can't try Call of Duty and an AMD graphics card without at least trying FSR 3.0. That's where we kind of got into a little bit of disappointment. FSR 3.0 was great. We got a massive improvement in our FPS numbers at around 200 FPS or so, but we ran into some bumps when we tried to enable frame generation. Frame generation didn't give us any sort of boost in our FPS numbers. The reason for that is our CPU is the i5-12600K. It's not strong enough to boost those frame rates really high in conjunction with this graphics card. If you take something like the RX 7700 XT, we got some FPS numbers as high as 270. We also tried CyberPunk 2077 just to have a graphics card test with ray tracing. We used ultra settings, whatever the max settings were, with no ray tracing, and we used no upscaling, and we got a little over 95 FPS. Then we tried the max ray tracing settings, overdrive, but we just used the default settings here, so we did have FSR 2.1 to help us, and we got 29.4 FPS. Moving on to Crushing Space Aliens in HellDivers 2, we got a whopping 93 FPS on the ultra settings, no upscaling, just, the native resolution 1440p. If you're liking this video and you think you might want to pick up a 7800 XT, check the links down in the description. They're affiliate links, and there's some good deals down there. Then we tried Starfield, which has become a much more optimized game since its release, but, in some of the other videos I've tried, people have kind of complained, so we tried it in New Atlantis this time because New Atlantis is supposed to be a demanding place on the map. So we ran around here for, 5 minutes or so in every water and patch of grass and crowded area we could find, and we got a solid FPS average of around like 60 to 65 FPS. Now for more competitive type games with this graphics card, we tried Halo Infinite on the high preset settings, and we got around 155 FPS. Pretty solid performance. It was really smooth and playable. Then we tried the game called The Finals. It's a free game on Steam, and it's built entirely in UEF5, Unreal Engine 5, and it's really surprisingly optimized, but you're not going to be cranking out those super duper high frame rates. We used ultra settings. We got 160 FPS. You use some form of FSR when you play with this. You can't turn it off, or at least I couldn't find. So I just lowered the FSR setting as low as it told me I could to try to use the least amount of it as possible. This is another game that really taxes your CPU, so keep that in mind if you want to play The Finals. Another Ubisoft delight, Call of Duty with a different refresh look. Xdefiant, that's what we tried next, and we got like 160-ish FPS running it on the ultra preset settings here. Pretty solid performance. This game is just Call of Duty. It just looks different, and everyone's extremely sweaty, but I'm bad. Moving on, we tried Apex Legends, and Apex Legends is going to run pretty smooth as you would imagine with this graphics card. We got pretty close, or right at a solid 240 FPS. This is, again, a game where your, CPU is going to help you in the FPS department, so keep that in mind. I probably could have got a little bit more FPS with this graphics card had we had a better CPU paired with it. We also played this in Gun Run or Team Deathmatch. I don't remember which one, so the Battle Royale might be a little less. Then the bread and butter, good old Fortnite. Now, I know Fortnite runs better on NVIDIA, supposedly. I don't really think that, but that's what the kids say these days. But AMD graphics cards, I think, do pretty good at Fortnite. And again, CPU is going to really determine your FPS in a lot of these situations, although you do need a good graphics card. And for the RX 7800 XT, we ran it in both modes, DX12 and Performance mode. Now, in Performance mode, we got more FPS than in DX12. We actually got around 300 FPS when on performance mode, and on DX12 we got kind of close to 300 FPS. It was like 280 to 300, but the 1% lows are what make the difference to me, and we had our 1% lows down there in like the 30, 40, 50, 60 area when we were on performance mode, and our 1% lows were over 100 when running on DX12. But if your CPU is not good enough and you want to look at the RX 7700 XT, then go watch this video.